Thank you for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an Amazon FBA business for sale in the general niche. This business makes $11,535 per month in net profit, and the listing number for the site is 44216. We do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the businesses they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. How are you doing today, Matt and Zach?
Good. I'm doing well.
Thank you for taking the time coordinating with me, both of you, to be on today. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
We are as well.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Where are you guys calling in from today?
I'm in Boston.
And I am in Boulder, Colorado.
So I've never been to Boulder, but I have been to Boston, and there was this ice cream place called JP Licks. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I'm currently like a 3-minute walk from their main location.
Isn't that the best ice cream you've ever had in your life?
Yeah, it's super good. They make it somewhere like often like Vermont or something and like truck it in. Like it's from like a small farm. It's really good.
Mm-hmm. It's like you have hard ice cream and you had soft serve. This is kind of like in the middle and it's perfect. I don't know.
Yeah, it's super good. I don't know how they're not bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I probably have to get to Boston now to try some ice cream.
You should. It's fantastic. Anyway, before we dive into the questions that I have for you guys, I want to go ahead and run through a quick summary of the business. It has a monthly revenue of $25,841, expenses of $14,306 to make for a net profit of $11,535, which is generated on a 12-month average. Included in the sale of this business are 2 Amazon Seller Central accounts with 43 SKUs, eBay store, domain, laptop, and mobile hotspot. Please note that inventory is not normally included in the list price, but further details can be provided to active depositors. Can you guys tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
So for me, this is actually my first online business. But before this, in my freshman year of college, I had actually started an e-liquid vape company. But this was absolutely my first endeavor into the online services.
Yeah, and for me, I've never started a business of any type before this one. But basically, Zach and me are childhood friends, and we're now each at college in Boston and Boulder, respectively. And we were basically like looking for ways to make like a little bit of extra money on the side, which is really how this started. It was like hopefully a quick, easy way to make some money and like add to a resume as a college kid. And it just really like developed into something that like consumed like all of our thoughts for like an entire summer, and like
it blossomed into something we never would have imagined.
Yeah, so that's been great, and like it started for like a way to like make a little extra beer money, and it's really turned into like an actual functioning business, which is quite a surprise, but like a welcome one.
Are you two still college students?
Yes, we're both juniors.
Oh, I am actually a senior in college, to be graduated in less than 2 months now. So excited.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, so excited. Anyway, yeah, so how did you get the idea to start this business? I know you were just looking to do something, but how'd you stumble on this?
So I go to school at Harvard in Boston, and basically it started when I met a couple of friends my freshman year who had been doing something very similar. I was really close friends with one kid who had a running FBA business, and I was like moderate acquaintances or friend of a friend of another kid who had a really large size business for a kid our age. So basically, like when through talking to them, they kind of showed me like what FBA is and the fact that you can do a lot just by the nature of it being like very hands off. Like you don't have to touch the product, you don't have to fulfill orders. Amazon takes care of all of that. So for like very small amounts of work, you can see very large returns. So that was where the idea came from. And then I pitched that idea to Zach, sort of.
So one day in the winter of my freshman year, I got a call from Matt, and he had already known that I had an inkling towards entrepreneurship because of the first business I had started. And he started explaining to me what he just explained to you, is that there are people at his school that are doing this, and they're making a lot of money off of it, and it doesn't seem too difficult. So we both figured that we're both ambitious guys, and we can certainly take advantage of this situation, and that's how we got into it.
Yeah, so if you're making a lot of money and you're still college students, as you said, so your original goal was to make some extra money while in college, why are you selling it today?
Right. So that was actually one of the most difficult decisions that we had over the summer. And this most recent summer was where we put in a lot of work to get the business to where it currently is today. And Matt and I certainly believe in the potential of the business, which is why selling was so difficult. But we both argued that if we were to go back to school in the fall, we wouldn't have enough time to continue to grow it at such an exponential rate, and it could probably better off in the hands of someone else with more time and possibly more experience.
Yeah, and speaking to that, we basically had planned for this summer to kind of position ourselves to dive deeper into the different niches which we had begun exploring over the summer. And we knew that about time and that we were hoping into new markets like Amazon, FBA, Europe, all that stuff. And we were hoping to do it with new product lines based on our most successful products of the summer. And we knew that that was going to be like a lot from our perspectives. And like me going to like part of the reason is when I go to school, I'm very busy and I'm like, I have a job up here separately and I just like end up working a lot. It was just like I wouldn't be able to contribute a fair share to the business at that point. So that seemed like at that point, it made more sense to try and just split our equity and then maybe try and start something else down the line or just go back to being normal college kids.
Right. And we wanted to make sure that everything we had worked for didn't just get swiped away because we got too busy. And interestingly enough, when we went back to school and didn't have to put much time into the business, it really didn't slow down at all. In fact, it picked up a lot in sales because of the work we had put in during the summer. So that was nice to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So looking back at the numbers, there is that, upward trend in the fall and then a dip in November and then back up in December. So what happened there?
Yeah, so it wasn't even that November we weren't really selling anything because we were. We actually had a really good November from a revenue perspective. And some of the SKUs that aren't going to be accounted for in the sale are like some of what was happening with the revenue. But then also on top of that, basically that was our second Q4. And the first time we did a Q4, we saw like an upward tick in sales. And we were basically like, oh, cool. Like every Q4, we're going to get 25, 30% more business. So we need to plan out a little bit more. But at that point, all of our suppliers were basically located in the US and the lead times were really short. So if we did something wrong, it wasn't a big deal. But then this time when we went to Q4, we'd expanded over to like 43 SKUs. So basically at that point, a lot of our suppliers were overseas and a lot of the things we were selling could no longer be airshipped. They're bigger items that required a ship to move. So basically, like when Q4 hit us this time, it just kind of shocked us because it was much larger sales than we expected. I think on Black Friday, we did, double.
Cyber Monday. Cyber Monday, we did around 4,300. But
Yeah.
This is kind of indicative of a larger point here, and is that we ran out of stock because there was a learning curve. So when it came to getting products from China and overseas, but typically China, we had to really figure out that entire shipping process to get like cargo loads from across the ocean. And this was new to both Matt and I. So we ended up having to sit down and do a lot of research, and we found a freight forwarder named Flexport that we employ now, which makes the whole process easier. But by the time we had found out that we need to restock on some of these products, it was already a little too late because of how long it takes to ship things over the entire sea, and then for them as well to be like registered and sent into Amazon. And so we ran out of stock, but it wasn't really because the demand wasn't there. It's because our inventory wasn't there.
Right. We basically sold out in the fall, and then we hit November. We were like, crap, we have nothing to sell. And then December came, and it was mostly back.
So, I mean, that's not a result of the business declining and the people losing interest in the product. It's a result of not having products to sell.
Right. Which I think can be seen by looking at the following sales after
exactly.
we
December like blew November out of the water. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. For sure. Yeah. So you said before that you're not putting much time in. How much time on a weekly basis would you estimate that you put in?
Probably 2 hours each.
Yeah, I was gonna say I put in 2 to 2.5. It does depend though, because sometimes like we end up calling, like I've personally called Amazon for like an hour and a half at different points. Some weeks that hits and like Amazon just decides that they want to mess up their back end for some product or another, and then you got to call them and then you get transferred and stuff like that. So sometimes that, but like basically that's unpredictable. That happens like once a month. Maybe.
Yeah, when we have a normal week without any issues, it's very low maintenance.
4, I'd say, is like pretty solidly. Like if I budgeted 4 hours every week, I'd have usually 2 extra hours for sure.
Yeah. So, okay. When you do work on the business, what are you doing in terms of marketing?
So our marketing strategy is actually fairly simple. What we tried to do is release products that people like and then put advertising campaigns through Amazon on them, such as PPC, which is pay per click for those who aren't familiar. And then once we launch that new product and people start to like it, it'll gain reviews naturally, and the ads will put it in people's screens and they'll see it. And then that naturally just generates traffic to the product. And if it's a good product, it'll continue to get more and more traffic.
And that's also one of the biggest areas for expansion that we think is like, we don't advertise through Facebook, we don't advertise through Instagram, Twitter, or like Google AdWords. And we know that from purely an economic perspective, we should be. We just really don't know how to do that. We don't have much experience in e-commerce. So someone who comes in with some experience in that, we do think could boost our sales. We just don't know who that person would be, but a potential buyer who has that skill set would be probably rewarded pretty well.
Right. And hopefully the fact that we've been able to have this success without much advertising is kind of indicative of the business we've built. So,
right.
So there are 2 Amazon Seller Central accounts. Why are there 2?
It sort of derives from our split everything mentality that we've had throughout the entire business. So like there's 2 of us, so you're allowed to have 1 seller account per each seller. But basically, furthermore, is like it's good to have 2 just because you never know what's going to happen with an account. Like we've had issues before where we try to mark something, like we accidentally mark something merchant fulfilled. We got 5 merchant fulfilled orders and then we don't fulfill them in time because we didn't know it was happening. And that can put your account at risk of getting suspended.
Right. So this is at its core diversification, like your assets pretty much.
Right. Exactly. Because if one gets suspended or whatever, then like while you're getting the other one up, you still have like half your money coming in. So you're not completely
at the whim of Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And then you also have an eBay store set up. And, what success have you found outside of Amazon?
Well, to be completely honest, we have not found much success outside of Amazon, but that, in my opinion, would be because of our lack of effort outside of Amazon. We have the eBay store and we put the products up. We didn't do any advertising for them, and we don't keep as constant with the new listings as we should on eBay as well. We really put a lot of our time into the Amazon store.
Yeah, our eBay store is basically, for us, we kind of view it as if for some reason someone prefers eBay and they see our product on Amazon only through Google or something, then they can find it on the eBay store. So it's pretty rare that we do sell stuff off of there. And when we do, we just fulfill it from Amazon itself. We just put in a fulfillment order.
And have you looked into doing anything else outside of Amazon, like, for instance, Walmart or opening a Shopify store?
Yeah.
Okay. So interestingly enough, actually, about, Matt, would you say 9 months ago, we applied to be a seller on Walmart.com. And that process took a little bit of time, but around 4 months ago, I think we were accepted to sell on Walmart.com. And we have our account set up and we have the listing set up. We just didn't actually get any inventory into the warehouses that would be shipping from Walmart.com. I actually don't.
Well, it's not all there yet, but some of it actually just hit our third-party warehouse because you can't fulfill Walmart orders with Amazon.
Right.
But we have a third-party warehouse that's already set up and integrated. So basically, as the stuff continues to come into that warehouse, that's when we're going to start putting our listings up on Walmart. And hopefully that'll be a nice, like, new source of revenue.
And so that's Walmart, and that's obviously a very good opportunity for a new owner of the business to be able to take advantage of. Is there a reason you haven't done a Shopify storefront yet?
We had our own website, which wasn't quite a Shopify store. It was like a free version of that. And we just our skill set is really strong in Amazon and very weak everywhere else by comparison for e-commerce. So we just didn't really know exactly what to do.
Yeah, we focused on our strengths and kind of let our weaknesses not play in.
Yeah. But yeah, probably objectively a good idea to have one as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that definitely makes sense. I mean, obviously, you got to do what you are familiar with and what you know that you can do well. And as you've said, you've really hammered home the Amazon side of things. And so if someone were to come in with the knowledge in a Shopify storefront, in the knowledge of social media marketing and, Google ads and everything like that, I mean, do you feel like that's a big opportunity available?
Right. That's a huge opportunity because, like we just said, our weaknesses come with the online advertising and the realm outside of Amazon. So anyone that has the capacity to have success on those sites can immediately see benefits.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of forum posts and stuff like that for FBA sellers where people add up their revenue streams from that type of thing, Walmart, Shopify, eBay. and they're making almost as much from those three sources as they are from Amazon, which like seemed that's if we could double the size of our business, we probably should, but we really are not strong in that at all. So I think that is a huge opportunity.
What are some of the other big opportunities that you see a new owner being able to take advantage of?
So outside of like the strategic marketing, like we said, there are marketplaces that we have not yet expanded into that we think could bring in large streams of revenue. For example, Amazon Canada, Europe, I think Japan is another one. If we could simply get accepted onto those sites, we're not actually sure how difficult the process is, but my impression of that is that it's not very difficult. And then you could just automatically reach a much higher customer base or a much larger customer base.
Yeah, even without going into new markets, we have a lot of footholds in small niches that have shown us that there are very good opportunities to expand within Amazon with new products, especially products that work like synergistically with products that we currently have. So like a good example would be like we have a really good selling cake product, which I don't want to disclose fully here. So, maybe something that we sell next is an icing product and you put the two together and there's a 20% coupon off if you buy each or something like that.
One of the things we did in the business, not to cut you off, Matt, is we really did delve into all these different niches to find markets that were not that competitive, but still made sales. And so what the buyer that takes on the business is going to get, they've pretty much sorted through a lot of the niches already and will have the information as to what works and what doesn't and where to expand for more success.
Yeah, and I mean, there's clearly opportunity. And even if you don't want to take advantage of those opportunities and you just want to sit back and, collect the revenue, I mean, this business is, it's possible to do that as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. That's what we've been doing for like, I would say 6 or 8 months now, and it's been great.
Have you looked at getting a trademark on the brands that you sell?
You want to take that one, Matt?
Yeah, my mom is actually an IP attorney, which worked out very well for us in this instance. But yeah, we are basically at a midpoint with those. So we're basically halfway through getting a trademark on 2 of our main product lines, like the only 2 that you would really probably want a trademark on. We'll continue to work through that for a buyer as well. We should be fine with that, though, I believe.
And then when that happens, you would want to get the business in the brand registry program.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although we haven't had problems, like I've heard of a lot of horror stories with hijackers. I can only really think of one hijacker we've ever had. And I just sent him an email and said, hey, like, please don't do this anymore or whatever. And they just sent us back like, O period, K period. And then they were gone. That was it.
Right. And one of the benefits to selling these private label products in these niches is that hijackers are less common.
Right.
But that is a potential risk. And I mean, are there any other big potential risks that you see a new owner encountering?
There's always the risk of the market, like Amazon's sales slow down in general. So this business would be hit by that wave as well. Matt, what other risks do you think there are?
There's risk with any business. Selling on someone else's platform is a risk in and of itself.
Yes, right.
Selling on Amazon. Sometimes they'll just decide that they want to eat up like 3 or 4 hours of your time on the phone over a couple of weeks for a product that you're totally fine with. But just risks that could end the business seem pretty low, especially because of the fact that we have 2 accounts. Like I have heard stories that I don't know how true they are, where people have claimed to have been suspended for doing nothing wrong and not been able to get their account back. But we've never had anything like that, really.
And while that risk is obviously present, we've taken steps to mitigate it by having the 2 accounts, as well as many SKUs.
Right. And then I guess there's we're in a really good market right now overall. Maybe the market could drop, but I don't even know that our products aren't really luxury goods. So even that shouldn't be a huge risk, but it would definitely hurt sales, I would say. I don't know. Do you have any others, Zach?
That's all I can think of off the top of my head.
And that's, fair. There doesn't have to be any big risks with this business in particular. There are obviously risks for businesses in general, but as you said, you have taken measures to try to mitigate those risks.
Right. And obviously we're not going to be able to mitigate every single risk, but like you said, we did try our best to set up a situation that will do that.
Yeah, so there's also associated with the business, included in the sale, a laptop and a mobile hotspot. What's going on with those?
Yeah, so basically it's because we have 2 seller accounts. You definitely don't want to enter one seller account on your home Wi-Fi and then immediately switch to the next one because Amazon views that as like a potential violation of terms of service. Like whether it's someone, I don't know, somehow hacking another Seller Central or whether it's someone with like multiple Seller Centrals, like one product on each. They don't like that. They want one per person per household. So yeah, so the laptop and the mobile hotspot are to access the other account just to keep everything as separate as possible.
And that's, again, an example of you guys trying to mitigate any possible risk with this business.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah, because you probably, like, we don't really know. You probably could access both of them, like, within your home if you're, like, close enough. And then you tell Amazon, like, hey, like, there's two people that live here that each have one. But, like, we just would not want to risk that. So we got the laptop and the hotspot.
Would you guys commit to a non-compete?
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
And how much support are you willing to offer a buyer during the transition period?
Yeah, we can do like phone calls, emails, like basically anything that it takes to get them to run it exactly as well as we do. Is what we're expecting to do. So, I mean, we expect to do like FaceTimes with them, show them the interface, that sort of thing.
And we hope as well that the things we've set up, like Flexport, as well as Amazon's FBA system, leave a lot of the learning, like the necessary learning, really out of the buyer's hands. So they don't actually have to know how to ship goods from China to the United States. They can just have someone do that for them. And so while we're absolutely willing to help, and we will put in that time to help, we hope that they don't need that much help because of how things are set up.
Yeah.
Would you guys be open to negotiating on something like an earnout?
Yes.
Yeah, I would.
It definitely depends on the terms. I mean, we believe that whoever takes over the business has a fairly strong chance to run with it successfully. So there's not that much risk on our part to taking such an earnout.
And I mean, obviously, the best case scenario is that someone comes along and offers 100% cash offer. But that's always the goal. But if that didn't happen, I mean, there are other options.
Yes, absolutely. We would totally be willing to negotiate.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt and Zach. I have one final question for you, and it's a doozy, so be ready. But before we get to it, I want to go ahead and run through that quick summary of the business again. Has a monthly revenue of $25,841, expenses of $14,306 to make for a net profit of $11,535, which is generated on a 12-month average. Included in the sale of this business are 2 Amazon Seller Central accounts with 43 SKUs, eBay store, domain, laptop, and mobile hotspot. Please note that inventory is not normally included in the list price. Further details can be provided to active depositors. Okay, guys, here it is. Can you give me your best 30-second pitch on why this is a business worth buying?
Yeah, so if we had to focus on the strengths of our business, I think some of the biggest ones are new markets. You know, you can enter Amazon FBA, Amazon Canada, Amazon Europe, all of that, and just triple or double the size of the markets that we're already facing. And then without going into new markets, you can expand further on the American market of e-commerce. So you can go into eBay, Walmart, and do that stuff really, really well and have a good opportunity to grow revenue without launching new products. But then if you do want to launch new products, Zach, you can take that, I guess.
Right. Yeah. If you want to launch new products, we've already gone through all of the groundwork to get into these niches that we believe can be successful for us based off of the lack of competition, as well as the sales that they typically generate. And so really throughout our business, we've worked to diversify risk and make sure that when one product goes down, we are still made up for by other products.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just speaks to the strength of this business, that there are potential risks, but you've taken many steps to, try to limit those risks. And you have a strong foundation on Amazon. You're growing and you're making, a lot of money every single month. But there are also plenty of opportunities to be able to grow the business more, like, for example, a Shopify site and expanding on social media marketing and Google marketing and everything like that, in addition to what you've already done so well with the business.
Right. Well, we totally agree. And like you said, strategic marketing can be a huge deal. And there are many places for potential in this business that Matt and I don't necessarily have the time for or the expertise for, but someone else can take in stride.
Thank you guys so much for taking the time to be on with me today.
Oh, no worries. Thank you for having us.
If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. And if you want more information, the link will be below the video that will take you to this marketplace listing. If you're watching this on the listing site and want more information, become a depositor today. When you make the deposit, one of our business advisors will be in contact with you, and you will be given everything you need to review this business. Have a great day.